It's been a terrible week, friends. A horrible, terrible, catastrophic, disastrous week. Let us drink a toast to the end of a terrible week. Bon voyage, farewell, and good riddance. It was one of those weeks, I don't know. Maybe it's just, the life of a freelance writer, right? It's always ups and downs. There's no security. It's always terrible. A woman I'm helping to write, I'm coaching, a writer and a young writer, and not that young. She has a son who is a teenager, an older teenager, probably 16, 17, something like that was my feeling, and she said, he wants to be he wants to be a musician. And so we're going to support him in that goal. And I said, no, don't. Make him be a dentist. He should be a dentist. Don't do nothing with the arts. Nothing. It's a mistake. Put him on the phone. I'll talk to him. I'll talk him down from that ledge. But she insisted. She said, no, he's my son. He's a dream. I gotta support him. I was mad at my father when he tried his best to talk me out of trying to be a writer. He said, why don't you get a solid job and then you can write in your free time, which made sense, right? And I just didn't understand that freelance writing is any of the artistic professions, any of them, is just a hit and miss. It's a touch and go. It's a hit and run. There's a lot of bad times. So this week was not good. Glad it's over. The disaster isn't over, but I will deal with it next week. And what helped me through my little crisis among crises was J.P.Donleavy.
I regard the kind of feminist movement, certainly the more aggressive aspects of it, as being extremely unpleasant.
I put him up here on the screen. J.P.Donleavy, American writer. He's not unknown now. He's forgotten now. But in the, 70s, 60s, he was very popular.
It's very, very rare that I've been so dazzled by such qualities, such capabilities of any man who has put pen to paper.
I would just like to read a passage from The Unexpurgated Code, a complete manual of survival and manners. Upon accepting prizes, awards, and distinctions, do this gracefully and graciously. There is nothing worse than to see an overinflated ego thumbing his or her nose at the award committees.
Great writer, full of verve and life and energy.
You have to cope with life, and in coping with life there are certain principles you've got to act upon, one of which I certainly firmly believe is that you've just literally got to adhere to whatever codes have been perhaps implanted in you from an early time, even that may be a criminal code.
He went to Ireland and he fell in love with Ireland. He stayed there and he wrote about American expats, in Ireland, and he wrote books like The Onion Eaters, which is a great title, and The Ginger Man, and the Beastly Beatitudes of Balthazar B. and others, and his stories were about.
One well-known critic said about The Ginger Man that it's a book without hope.
I don't think it's a book without hope at all, and I don't think it accepts life, and probably Dangerfield sees life in its reality in terms of what's happened to him, mostly that he wishes that he'd been given a private income along with a good set of teeth, and his upbringing and so on, and finds himself that he might indeed have to go and work for a living.
Guys who really are complete failures in life, and yet they have a great fun all the time.
I personally am able to kind of, suffer a pain I never make any attempts to alleviate pain that I suffer. I don't take anesthetics if I go to a dentist. Nor, however...
Then that's bravery. We were talking about courage before. That is real bravery.
Not exactly. It's simply because I know that the administration of Novocaine and things like that are highly risky and can be unpleasant, and I prefer to suffer the pain rather than to suffer the thought of the unpleasantness of drugs.
They're no holds barred hedonists. They are they're constantly seducing other men's wives and running, from the shotgun. They're constantly out of money and begging friends for just, money for a whiskey, And that's what all these books are about. That's the whole thing of all those books. That's it.
One book of mine, which is surprisingly widely read with many, many admirers, is The Onion Eaters. And that's not a book that's as publicly known as The Ginger Man, whereas it's regarded as being wilder, more insane, more fantastic than The Ginger Man is, being set in Ireland in a big Irish castle and so on.
And the Germans call them Lebenskünstler, which is a great word. Life artists, or artists in the art of life, something like that. And they just know how to live. They just know how to live. They don't care about the stability or security or anything like that. Somehow they get by. And whenever they encounter crises,
I don't think there's any doubt that a woman who then sits at home complaining and nagging is, an unfortunate situation, and the husband ought really to think of getting rid of such wives.
They just laugh it off and get through it, and they run from the bill collectors, and they smooch money off their friends for whiskey, and that's what they do.
J.P.Donleavy is absolutely one of the great Irish writers.
One of the most brilliant men of words of our time, whose contribution to the theatre is magnificent and glorious and incomparable and unique and thrilling, lewd and glorious.
And they live and enjoy life. I'm not that guy, but thinking of those books, which I really love for that reason, because I'm not that guy, because I can't do that.
I think that the laws of any state ought to accord to women as much as it does to men, and what women are paid and other kind of things that affect women's lives. I think that's immensely important. I think it goes without saying that women should indeed enjoy whatever men can. On the other hand, the kind of feminist movement I find a gross insult to women. To me, it's possibly one of the most unpleasant movements that I know of.
Why?
Simply because I don't think women really need to take that position. Most women are capable of, taking care of their rights and taking care of other matters in their lives perfectly well.
I love those books so much. Those and other characters who are similar to that. You see these guys often, usually it's a sidekick, but sometimes it's the main character or the, they come up in books like these or in movies. I just love them mainly because I can't be that guy. But thinking about him, I'm thinking, what would a J.P.Donleavy character do in this situation? And he immediately told me he would drink whiskey and have a good time and not worry about it. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Life can be that simple. Relief, discomfort.
And that gave me a little bit of hope and a little bit of...
Leave a little pause here for nervous laughter.
Courage and it reminded me, Eric, don't take everything so seriously. It's just life. What are they going to do? Throw you in jail? No, come on. It's just life. So friends, to life, to a really bad week, to maybe a better week next week, to a life in all its various horrific and joyous and wonderful phases. Good night.